Good morning watch people. This is my first Proxima watch, although it is a brand that I've looked at for a few years. You see, whilst their quality has apparently been very good, like St. Martin, most, if not all of their watches have been homages. Whilst this watch is available from AliExpress, please let me get something straight. There is no such thing as an AliExpress watch. No more than there is an Amazon watch or an eBay watch. AliExpress is just another selling format, no more or no less. In fact, this watch is also available from Proxima Direct and WR Watches, just to name a few. Of course, this is a Chinese made and branded watch. But for those of us in the know, many watches branded as US, Singapore or even European watches are actually made in China. Now we've got that out of the way, let's talk about this rather pleasant and well priced timepiece. Well, some reviewers have described this as being a Christopher Ward C65 homage, and whilst I can see a resemblance, please let me assure you that in no way is it a direct homage. I know I used to own one. Firstly, Christopher Ward didn't make one with an enamel dial, well, not to my knowledge. Secondly, the handset is different. Thirdly, the bezel is different. And finally, the C65 was 41mm and that's 2mm larger than this. It goes without saying that Christopher Ward C65 costs considerably more than this. Although as an owner of 3 Christopher Ward watches, I can tell you that they are the dog's doodahs, and make no mistake. And introducing Amy, our new rescue dog. She tells me she's not particularly interested in watches, but there's time yet. And welcome to my unpaid and unsponsored review of the Proxima PX1697. Now let's have a look at the dimensions. Well, the case is 39mm, although the bezel is fractionally larger. The lug width is 20mm, the lug to lug 45.5mm, and the depth is only 11.5mm. Now when it's adjusted to fit my 17cm wrist, it weighs in at about 116 grams. Now these dimensions will suit almost any wrist. Now in my opinion, it wears to size and it's incredibly comfortable. Here's the Proxima packaging. I'm sure it's a case everybody's seen before. It's not very premium, but it does the job. It also comes with instructions, a warranty card, this nice little watch carrying bag, and a screwdriver for the bracelet. And this is my watch of the day. It's the Nodos Sector Field. It's got a 6.5mm unsigned screwed down crown that operates the watch without any issues, and the engagement is really good. In actual fact, it's buttery smooth. It's got a claimed 200 metres of water resistance, although this isn't actually written anywhere on the watch. In brief, it should suffice for most water sports, apart from deep sea diving of course. Inside is the PT5000 high beat movement from HK Industries. This is a Chinese clone of the ETA 2824 and in my experience is equally as accurate and dare I say tends to leave the factory better regulated in many cases. You can buy this watch with the Sellita SW200 inside, but that's going to cost you considerably more and it's only a Swiss made version of the same calibre. It ticks away at 28,800 beats per hour, it hacks and it hand winds and it's got a power reserve of about 38 hours. The positional variance on these movements is excellent, and this separates them from movements such as the NH35 and the Myota 8215. The early ones of these did have a problem with some lubrication, but I believe this was sorted out quite quickly, and they've proven to be quite reliable now. I can tell you that after a few days wear, this is running at about -5 or 6 seconds a day. But let's see what the time grapher thinks of it. And there we go, an excellent beat error. A good amplitude, although not fully round yet, and -6 seconds a day. The watch has got a box sapphire crystal with some AR coating on the underside and it looks absolutely incredible. The case is superb and it's similar to the Christopher Ward Lightcatcher case, but not quite as sharp in the transitions. It's got a combination of some superb brushing and well executed polishing. It's beautifully shaped and it fits like a glove to the back of the wrist. The case back is screwed down and it's laser etched with a couple of stingrays and some basic information. It does indicate these are a limited edition, but whether they are or not, who knows. The bezel is quite narrow and slightly protrudes outside the case. What's more, it's got a black ceramic insert which looks great against that white dial. Along with a very good coinage knurling, this makes it very easy to use. There is very little backplay and almost no bounce. The resistance is a little bit lighter than I'd like, but this is common with narrower bezels, and in fact was very similar with my Christopher Ward C65. Unfortunately, it doesn't quite line up, but it's very close, and I mean very close. Now let's have a listen to it. As you can see, the dial is a white enamel, and I can't make up my mind if I like it or not, but I think I do. At the top it just reads Proxima, in a font that I'm not particularly keen on, although it's much nicer than that dreadful unicorn they use on some of their dials. Honestly, Proxima, just get rid of it. At the bottom it reads Automatic. Perhaps they should have added the water resistance below that. The large round indices are applied, and they've got chrome surrounds, and there is a white date window at the 6. The indices, bezel insert and hands are all filled with a generous application of BGW9 loom. For you loom freaks out there, you won't be disappointed. This will keep you going for most of the night. Let's have a look at that loom. Now if you were to take this 3-link oyster style bracelet and clasp and put it on a £1,000 watch, nobody would actually question it, honestly. Although the edges are a tad rough, the solid female end links fit perfectly to the case, and they've got the added advantage of quick release spring bars. And there are even half links. The tolerances are excellent, as is the brushing. Now it tapers down from 20mm to 16mm, and it's got screw pins for easy adjustment. Now the clasp is one of my favourites, and it isn't over bulky, but it's still substantial enough to be secure. Again, the brushing and polishing are done to a really high level, although Proxima chose not to sign it. That said, they have signed the milled bracket, but that's not visible unless the clasp is open. It's got 4 micro adjustments, which in my opinion is just about perfect. Of course, it would have been nice if it had an on-the-fly adjustment, but at this cost, which I'll come to shortly, you can't have everything. All in all, I would give the clasp and bracelet a 9 out of 10. Now I've had a good look around, and after import duty and once delivered to your door, this watch is going to cost you about £250. I suppose in the US that's probably about $300. As it happens, I bought this from that nice chap, the Watcher, who's done a review on this watch himself. Needless to say, I paid a little bit less because it's technically second hand. So do I think £250 is a good price for this watch? Well, what do you think? It's bloody incredible. The only QC issue is that very slightly misaligned bezel, but there are a few changes I would make for a version 2. I believe the crown and the clasp should be signed, but for God's sake not with that unicorn. Secondly, although I don't mind the brand name, I don't really like the font that's been used. And finally, I would have preferred an engraved back rather than laser etching. Laser etching does tend to get a bit grubby. Other than that, I'm very impressed. I'm a fan of the PT5000 movement. The case shape and finishing is excellent, the loom is very good, and that bracelet and clasp could have come from a watch costing an awful lot more. I'd watched a few reviews on this watch before I bought it, and I strongly suggest you do the same. The consensus appears to be that the watch has pretty much knocked it out of the park, and may well be Proxima's best effort to date. Like I said in the intro, I don't believe this is a direct homage, so Proxima, why not spread your wings a bit and come up with a design purely of your own? Seriously everyone, if you're looking for a quality diver and you're on a budget, you could do a lot worse than this. Now that brings me to the end of this review, so if you enjoyed it, please click on the like button, subscribe if you haven't already, leave your comments below, and enjoy the rest of your day.